One company that acknowledged the importance to act on the environment in 1972 was Volvo. In 1972, Per Gyllenhammar, its CEO, acknowledged that Volvo's products had a negative environmental impact and stated that we were determined to do something about it. Let us introduce our first guest in this segment.
Meet Dr. Anders Berger, Director of Public Affairs at Volvo Group headquarters. Anders is a transport solution specialist with extensive engagement in the public discourse of transport efficiency, e-mobility, and connectivity related to the environmental challenges of the road transport system.
Anders, it's great to have you here on the show. You have the floor.
Thank you. Since 1970, Earth Day has been celebrated by billions of people around the globe, promoting awareness and health of our environment. On April 22nd, 1970, a little later, 20 million Americans were inspired to take to the streets, parks, and auditoriums to call for a healthy, sustainable Earth. Because of those national rallies, the first Earth Day helped to create the United States Environmental Protection Agency and later led to the introduction of new environmental laws such as the Clean Air, Clean Water and Endangered Species Acts. And now, on that same day, each year, we celebrate the anniversary of this modern environmental movement, which today is one of the largest secular observances in the world, marked by more than 1 billion people globally, raising awareness of the need to mobilize and drive positive action for the future of our planet. This year, we also commemorate 50 years since the first UN conference on the human environment was held in Stockholm and celebrate 50 years of global environmental action that have followed. Sustainability and limiting our impact on the environment are not new topics for Volvo Group. In fact, we are one of the early adopters and have been talking about these concerns for years. Dating right back to that first UN conference in June 1972, where Volvo declared it is our responsibility to not only be part of the problem, but also be part of the solution.
A worse threat is that practically all forms of transportation also pollute the air with exhaust gases. Even electric trains pollute the atmosphere, not here on the railway line, but where the electricity is generated, at the power station. Other sources of electrical power also play their part in spoiling the environment. Dams and artificial lakes radically affect nature. We must face the facts. All forms of transportation affect the environment.
And it was here, 50 years ago, at that UN conference, that Volvo committed to address its role on the environment and how we can limit the impact we have. Since then, environmental care has been one of our core values and a fundamental part of our ambition as we strive towards more sustainable transport and infrastructure solutions. And we have made great progress, reducing the emissions of air pollutants from our trucks by up to 90% and decreasing fuel consumption and CO2 emissions by 40%. But demand for transport is increasing, driven by population growth, urbanization, and increasing e-commerce. So we must meet this demand with transport and infrastructure solutions that are more sustainable. And we are confident that our trucks, services, and operations will lead the way there. For us, environmental care is about so much more than just clean air. It's about using resources responsibly and about strategies for environmentally sound and cost-efficient infrastructure. Ultimately, allowing us to provide clean, silent, and efficient transport solutions that offer entirely new possibilities for modern societal development. But as well as talking, we have also been delivering tangible improvements to our operations and supply chains, as well as to the products and services we produce. So, you could ask, how are we leading the change? It's clear from COP26 that we need to go further and faster to deliver change. And remember, this is the decade of action. So what is Volvo Group doing? In 2021, we committed to ambitious science-based targets that will see us reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions already by 2040, 10 years earlier than the SBTi commitment of 2050. The pace of change is important, and we have set ambitious milestones along the way to help us meet our commitments. Most logistic companies see electrification as the route toward decarbonization of the industry. Most organizations have put their foot firmly in one camp, be it battery electric or fuel cell electric. And the two are too often actually portrayed as competitors. At Volvo Group, we see things a little differently. We believe the right way is a three-pronged approach to zero greenhouse gas emissions. Battery electric combined with fuel cell electric running on green hydrogen, and to a limited extent, internal combustion engine running on biofuels. Battery electric trucks are the ideal solution for shorter medium-range applications, such as local distribution, refuse collection, regional haulage, where the vehicle often returns to a fixed depot for recharging. And we have already battery-powered trucks operating in urban areas around the globe. But for heavy-duty and long-haul transport, batteries will be challenging due to limited driving range and battery weight limiting the payload. In addition, if the truck doesn't return to a depot at the end of the day, charging can become a challenge. This is where hydrogen fuel cells come in. Fuel cell trucks make their own electricity on board from stored hydrogen and have longer driving ranges, shorter refueling times, and less payload penalty. But of course, our biggest challenge is emissions from our products, which is why we focus on electromobility. It's also here we can really make an impact and help other businesses that utilize transport in their value chains. But we also need to look at the impact of our manufacturing and how we improve our value chain, the circular economy. This is already part of the initial product development and design process. In our newest business area within Volvo Group, Volvo Energy, we, together with partners, are exploring and developing new charging solutions for batteries during their first life. And we are looking also at how we can give used batteries a second life in different applications, often outside the transport industry, such as for storing solar power in apartment complexes. We're developing the vehicles, the trucks, the buses, and construction machines of the future. But we urgently need to have the charging infrastructure. We need to have the grid with the right capacity and the generation of green energy to make the adoption of these vehicles a practical reality. The same goes for production and distribution of green hydrogen. We need to see charging stations being built much more quickly than we see today. We all heard of the chicken and egg dilemma, and it's really applicable here. It doesn't matter how many great fossil-free electric trucks we offer if the infrastructure is simply not in place to support their uptake. And this is why we are now teaming up with our toughest competitors in the truck industry, Daimler Trucks and Traton, to actually invest in the charging infrastructure industry. We intend to build 1,700 charging stations across Europe for heavy-duty vehicles. It's a good start, it's a strong signal, but it's far from sufficient. Partnership is the new leadership, and with that we mean that we need open-minded and innovative ways of cooperating to accelerate the pace of change, the likes of which we haven't seen before. The climate crisis is not a challenge we can face alone as a single company. Instead, business leaders, customers, suppliers, investors and policymakers and NGOs must work together to ensure a sustainable and equitable future for all. We are convinced that innovations will provide at least some of the answers society is looking for, and we want to be at the forefront and lead the way. That's why we are working with research institutions and universities to develop technologies that increase fuel efficiency and to develop and implement the use of alternative fuels in cooperation with the energy sector. A few examples of these new partnerships. Daimler and Volvo partnership to accelerate hydrogen fuel cell technology. Volvo, Daimler, Traton, the partnership building charging infrastructure. Ovako Steel, H2 Green Steel and Hitachi Power Grids together with Volvo to use surplus green hydrogen from the new green steel industry into fueling other sectors, including heavy-duty trucks. The hybrid project with SSAB, LKAB and Vattenfall creating this beautiful fossil-free mining hauler. We're also one of the founding members of the First Movers Coalition, a great initiative that was launched in Glasgow during COP26. It's about companies utilizing their individual purchasing power to commit to buy fossil-free transport, fossil-free steel, air travel, etc. This creates an impressive pull effect that is now spreading all over the globe. If your company hasn't signed up already, please visit the World Economic Forum website. You are most welcome in the club. Climate change is the challenge of our generation. For 50 years, our connection to the environment has been a core value, providing inspiration that has helped shape and guide our operations. It is our ambition to lead our industry to a net zero future. Today, tomorrow, and in the weeks, years, and decades to come, we'll do more and achieve more for the environment if we work together. But sustainability is not just about reducing our climate footprint. It's far bigger than that. It's about how we handle valuable resources and how we treat one another as people. And most important of all, it is about taking action now. That makes a real difference for our customers, our partners, suppliers, our employees, and society at large as we work together to shape the world we want to live in. Thank you.
Anders, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.